The autumn rain pelted against the window of Grace Wilson's tiny apartment as she clutched the pregnancy test in trembling hands. At 19, her future had just changed forever. Outside, a sleek black car pulled up to the curb and she knew. Nathan Reynolds had finally arrived to hear her news. "I'm pregnant," Grace said softly when Nathan entered, his expensive jacket still perfectly dry despite the downpour. Nathan's face paled. Just 21 and heir to the Reynolds real estate empire, he sank onto her threadbare couch. "Are you sure? 3 tests? All positive?" The silence between them stretched like an endless chasm. They had met at the coffee shop where Grace worked to pay for community college. Nathan, with his warm brown eyes and disarming smile, had seemed different from the other wealthy students Ginder, more genuine. For 8 beautiful months, Grace had believed their love transcended their different backgrounds. "My parents found out about us," Nathan finally said, staring at his hands. "They called me in last night." Grace felt a chill that had nothing to do with the draft from her poorly insulated windows. "And they're cutting me off if I don't end things with you." His voice was hollow. "Everything, my trust fund, my position in the company, my inheritance, everything." "We don't need their money," Grace whispered, though even as she said it, she thought of her minimum wage job, her student loans, and the baby growing inside her. "We can make it work." Nathan's eyes met hers, and for a moment she saw a conflict there. Then something hardened in his expression. "I can't throw away everything I've worked for, everything I was raised to become, about what we've built." "Together?" Grace asked, her voice breaking. "It was a fantasy, Grace. We come from different worlds." She felt as though she was drowning. "So you're choosing money over me? Over your child?" "I'm choosing the life I was meant to have," Nathan replied. Standing up, he reached into his pocket and placed an envelope on her coffee table. "This should help with ... expenses." Grace stared at the envelope without touching it. "I don't want your money." "Be reasonable, Grace. We both know you'll need it." "Needed was for you to love me enough to stay," she said, tears finally spilling down her cheeks. "Please leave."
Nathan.
As the door closed behind him, Grace wrapped her arms around her stomach. "It's just you and me now," she whispered to her unborn child. Outside, Nathan's car pulled away, taking with it all her dreams of their future together. The envelope remained untouched on the table. It's a symbol of everything that had gone wrong. Grace knew then that she would raise this child alone, without a penny from the Reynolds fortune. She would prove to herself and to Nathan that love and determination were worth more than all his family's millions. Asterisk. 8 years passed like a blur of sleepless nights, endless shifts, and precious moments with Olivia. Grace Wilson's daughter had grown into a bright-eyed second grader with a passion for music and her mother's stubborn determination. "Mom, listen to this." Olivia called from their small living room, where she practiced on the second-hand violin Grace had purchased after months of saving. The melody, though simple, filled their modest apartment with warmth. Grace paused in folding laundry to listen, her heart swelling with pride. "That's beautiful, sweetheart." Their life wasn't easy, but Grace had built something meaningful from the ruins of her broken heart. After Olivia's birth, she'd worked as a waitress during the day and a hospital receptionist at night, with her elderly neighbor, Mrs. Patel, watching the baby. When Olivia turned 4, Grace had finally completed her nursing degree, securing a stable job at Memorial Hospital. "Wilson, you're a natural," Dr. Fernandez had told her just last week. "Have you considered the nurse practitioner program? The hospital has scholarships." The possibility of advancement hovered like a distant star, something to reach for, even if it seemed impossible with her responsibilities. "Mom, can we have spaghetti tonight?" Olivia asked, carefully placing her violin in its case. "Of course. And maybe ice cream after?" Grace suggested, savoring her daughter's delighted smile. Their tiny kitchen became a hub of activity as they cooked together, Olivia standing on a stool to stir the sauce. These ordinary moments were sacred to Grace, proof that happiness didn't require wealth or status. Later that evening, after tucking Olivia in bed, Grace opened the battered shoebox she kept on the top shelf of her closet. Inside lay newspaper clippings tracking Nathan Reynolds' meteoric rise in the business world. The most recent showed him at a charity gala, captioned Reynolds Enterprises CEO donates millions to Children's Hospital. Grace traced his face with her fingertip. Looked older, more polished, but his eyes held the same distance she'd seen that rainy day when he walked away. According to the articles, he remained unmarried, devoted entirely to expanding his family's empire. Does he ever wonder about us? She whispered to the empty room. A knock at her bedroom door startled her. Olivia stood there in pajamas, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Mom, I had a bad dream. Grace quickly tucked the clippings away. Come here, sweetheart. As Olivia snuggled against her, Grace stroked her daughter's dark hair that matched Nathan's exactly. What was your dream about? I was playing my violin, but no one could hear me, Olivia murmured sleepily. I will always hear you, Grace promised, kissing her forehead. And someday, the whole world will too. The next morning, Grace received a letter from Olivia's music teacher, Mrs. Winters. Olivia shows exceptional talent. She should audition for the Young Musician Scholarship Program. Reading the letter on her lunch break, Grace felt a flutter of both pride and anxiety. The program was prestigious and expensive, even with scholarships. Yet she couldn't deny Olivia this opportunity. That evening, Grace added more hours to her schedule and applied for the nurse practitioner program. Whatever it took, her daughter would have the chances she deserved. Unlike Nathan, Grace would never choose anything over Olivia's future even if it meant working herself to exhaustion, as she fell asleep that night. Grace realized something important. She no longer kept those newspaper clippings out of love, but as reminders of the strength she'd found in Nathan's absence. The grand pavilion glittered with chandeliers and wealth as Nathan Reynolds adjusted his bow tie, feeling the familiar emptiness that accompanied these events. At 38, he had quadrupled his family's fortune through shrewd investments and relentless work ethic. Its success tasted hollow in his penthouse suite each night. Remarkable turnout, Nathan, said his business partner, Thomas Blackwood. Your foundation's charity gala is the event of the season. Nathan nodded absently, his attention caught by the program. The Reynolds Foundation annual benefit featured performances by recipients of their Young Musicians Scholarship. The name Olivia Wilson appeared third on the list, a coincidence, surely. Wilson was a common name. And now, performing Vivaldi's Winter from the Four Seasons, 13-year-old Olivia Wilson, announced the MC. A slender girl with dark hair stepped onto the stage, violin poised with practiced confidence. It's the moment. She drew her bow across the strings. Nathan felt a strange recognition, something in her posture, the determined set of her jaw. ... When she finished playing, the audience erupted in applause. Nathan remained frozen, studying her features as she took a bow. Those eyes, he knew those eyes. They were his own, staring back at him from a younger face. Magnificent talent, Thomas remarked. Your foundation certainly found a prodigy there. Excuse me, Nathan murmured, making his way toward the stage as the young violinist disappeared behind the curtain. In the reception area backstage, he spotted her standing beside a woman whose profile sent electricity through his veins. Grace, older, more elegant, but unmistakably the same woman he'd left 14 years ago. Their eyes met across the room. Grace's expression transformed from pleasure to shock to carefully controlled neutrality. She whispered something to Olivia and approached Nathan, blocking his path to the girl. Nathan, she said coolly. What a surprise. Grace, he managed, his throat suddenly dry. I didn't know. She, yes, Grace interrupted. She's your daughter, though legally she's only mine. You made that choice very clear. The weight of 14 years of absence crashed down on him.
Why didn't you?
Tell me she was so talented. Grace's laugh held no humor.
Why would I?
You left us with an envelope of cash and never looked back. Mom? Olivia appeared beside them, curious. Who's this? Nathan couldn't breathe as he looked at his daughter up close. She had his coloring, his height, but Grace's delicate features and clear gaze. This is Mr. Reynolds, Grace said carefully. The foundation sponsor. Your performance was extraordinary, Nathan said, finding his voice. How long have you been playing? Since I was 6, Olivia replied with a smile that pierced his heart. Mom worked extra shifts to buy my first violin. Grace touched her daughter's shoulder. We should go, Olivia. You have school tomorrow? Wait, Nathan said desperately. Could we talk? Grace hesitated, then wrote something on a business card. My number. But understand this, she doesn't know about you, and I won't have you disrupting her life on a whim. As they walked away, Nathan heard Olivia ask, why was he looking at me like that? Some people are just moved by music, sweetheart, came Grace's distant reply. Alone in the emptying venue, Nathan stared at the card in his hand. The fortune he'd chosen over them suddenly seemed worthless, compared to what he'd glimpsed tonight, a brilliant, a talented daughter and the only woman he'd ever truly loved. Both living lives that had no place for him for the first time since that rainy day in Grace's apartment.
Us.
Nathan Reynolds wept. The cafe Grace had chosen was deliberately public neutral territory. Nathan arrived 15 minutes early, rehearsing what to say, though no words seemed adequate for 14 years of absence. Grace entered precisely on time, looking professional in her nurse's scrubs. She'd come straight from work, making it clear this meeting wasn't special enough to warrant changing clothes. Thank you for meeting me, Nathan said as she sat down. I'm here because Olivia asked questions after the gala, Grace replied, stirring her tea. She's intuitive. She knows something's going on. Nathan nodded, studying the lines around Grace's eyes, evidence of years of hard work and worry he should have shared. I want to know her, Grace. I want to be part of her life. Why now? Grace's. The voice was steady, but her fingers tightened around her cup. Because she's impressive? Because she plays beautifully. Would you have wanted to know her if she hadn't caught your attention on that stage? The question struck him like a physical blow. I don't know, he admitted. I can't change the past. But seeing you both made me realize what I've been missing. What you chose to miss, Grace corrected. Yes. Nathan accepted the rebuke. I've spent 14 years chasing success, thinking it would fill the emptiness. It never has. Grace's expression softened slightly. Olivia asked, about her father growing up. I never vilified you, I just said you weren't ready for a family. Thank you for that kindness. I didn't deserve it. A silence fell between them, filled with shared history and divergent paths. I looked you up, Grace finally said. Your foundation has done impressive work. The scholarship program that's helping Olivia, that was your initiative. Nathan nodded. I wanted to give opportunities to talented kids who might not otherwise have them. I never imagined. His voice trailed off. That you'd be helping your own daughter, Grace finished. I'd like to tell her the truth, Nathan said, but only if you think it's right. Grace considered this. She deserves to know her history. But Nathan understands something, Olivia isn't a business acquisition. You can't just decide you want her and expect immediate results. Trust needs to be earned. I know. I'm prepared to take whatever time is needed. Her conversation was interrupted by Grace's phone buzzing. That's Olivia. Her practice ended early. She hesitated. She's coming here. Nathan's heart raced. Does she know about this meeting? No. But maybe this is how it should happen. Grace's eyes met his. Just remember she's had a stable, loving life. Don't make promises you can't keep. Minutes later, Olivia bounded into the cafe, violin case slung over her shoulder. She stopped short upon seeing Nathan. You're the man from the gala, she said, recognition dawning. Olivia, this is Nathan Reynolds, Grace said carefully. He's your biological father. Olivia's eyes widened, darting between them. Nathan held, his breath awaiting judgment. Why did you leave? Olivia asked directly, sliding into the seat beside her mother. Because I was young and foolish, Nathan answered honestly. I chose money and my family's approval over what really mattered. Olivia, absorbed this? Do you regret it? Every day of my life? Are you rich? Nathan nodded. Yes. Mom and I aren't. She works really hard. There was pride in Olivia's voice. But we're happy. I can see that, Nathan said softly. Your mother has done an amazing job raising you. Olivia studied him with an intensity that reminded him of himself in business negotiations. Are you here because you want something from us? No, Nathan replied. I'm here because I'd like a chance to know you if you're willing. No pressure, no expectations. Grace reached for her daughter's hand. This is entirely your decision, Olivia. Whatever you choose, I'll support you. Olivia considered this. I have a recital next Friday. You could come to that. It wasn't forgiveness or acceptance, it's just a small opening. It felt like winning the lottery. I'd be honored.
As they parted ways outside the cafe, Nathan watched Grace and Olivia walk away together. Their matched strides and easy conversation, evidence of their unbreakable bond.
He had no illusions about the difficulty of the path ahead, but for the first time in 14 years, Nathan Reynolds felt hope. 6 months passed in small, cautious steps. Nathan attended every one of Olivia's recitals, sitting quietly in the back until Grace eventually began saving him a seat beside her. He learned Olivia's favorite ice cream flavor, mint chocolate chip, her frustration with geometry, and her dream of attending Juilliard someday. Today marked a significant milestone, Olivia's first visit to his penthouse apartment. Nathan had spent weeks preparing, converting his sterile home office into a music room with perfect acoustics. This view is incredible, Olivia remarked, pressing her hands against the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city where she'd grown up seeing only small slices of sky between buildings. It gets lonely up here, Nathan admitted. That's why I wanted to show you something. He led her to the newly created music room. Inside stood a gleaming grand piano beside a violin stand. The walls featured acoustic paneling and built-in shelves, held scores from classical to contemporary compositions. Olivia's eyes widened. Is this for me? For whenever you visit, Nathan clarified, remembering Grace's warnings about overwhelming gestures. I thought we could play together sometimes. I took piano lessons as a child. You play? Olivia seemed genuinely surprised to discover this connection. Not for many years, but I've been practicing again. He sat at the piano bench, playing the simple accompaniment to a piece she had performed last month. Olivia lifted her violin and joined in, their music tentatively intertwining. When they finished, she gave him a real smile, not the polite one she usually offered, but something warmer. The doorbell interrupted the moment. Grace had arrived to pick Olivia up. Come in, Nathan called. We're in the music room. Grace entered, pausing at the doorway to take in the scene. This is beautiful, Nathan. Over dinner ordered in from Olivia's favorite restaurant, conversation flowed more naturally than ever before. Olivia described her upcoming audition for a prestigious summer program, while Grace shared stories from the hospital where she now worked as a nurse practitioner. I have something to tell you both, Nathan said as they finished dessert. I've made some changes at Reynolds Enterprises. Grace looked wary. What kind of changes? I've stepped down as CEO. I'm still on the board, but I've hired someone else to run the day-to-day operations. Why? Olivia asked, genuinely curious. Because I've missed too much already, Nathan replied simply. I don't want to miss any more. Later, as Olivia explored the apartment's library, Grace joined Nathan on the balcony. You didn't have to do that, she said quietly. Yes, I did. Nathan turned to face her. 14 years ago, I chose wrong. I'm not making that mistake again. Grace studied him. You've changed. I'm trying to, he acknowledged. Grace, I know I have no right to ask this, but is there any chance for us? Her expression softened. I'm not the same girl you left behind, Nathan. That broken-hearted teenager is gone. No, and I admire the woman you've become far more than I ever appreciated the girl you were. Grace leaned against the railing, looking out at the city lights. I stopped hating you years ago. Took too much energy, and Olivia needed all I had. And now, double quotes, Grace sighed. Now I'm cautiously impressed by your efforts with Olivia. She talks about you, She's starting to trust you. You? A small smile touched her lips. Let's just say I'm open to possibilities I wouldn't have considered 6 months ago. Inside, Olivia began playing her violin, the music drifting out to where they stood. Melody was hopeful, ascending. One day at a time, Grace said, offering her hand. Nathan took it, feeling its strength. One day at a time, he agreed. As Olivia's music surrounded them, Nathan reflected on his journey. The fortune he'd chosen had brought him status and power, but never fulfillment. True wealth, he now understood, couldn't be measured in dollars or property portfolios. It existed in this moment, his daughter's music, Grace's hand in his, the chance to rebuild what he'd once carelessly discarded. The Reynolds name would still adorn buildings and charity foundations, but its true legacy would be written in the relationships he was only now learning to treasure. Some fortunes, Nathan realized, could only be measured by the love they contained. Asterisk.